Okay, 12%. Yeah, 2 minutes. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everybody. I hope you better today and happy because we will discuss our challenging topic. It is about the Indonesian foreign policy under President Soekarno. Yesterday we discussed on the personality and the political position of President Soekarno after proclamation August 1945 until 1965. But really or formally, President Soekarno formally replaced as a president by caretaker in 1967. So after tragedy or revolution 1965, still 2 years, but all of the actual power done by the caretaker president. The name is the Major General Suharto. That's very famous person. And now we continue, but what is the Indonesian foreign policy formatted by President Soekarno? I hope you remember our framework that to produce or to formulate a foreign policy, there are two factors, international situation and domestic situation or condition. And personality of the leader also influence the final decision. Yeah, so maybe someone will say that if the system is settled or established system, whoever sit in the power, the process of decision making will regularly formatted. But really, the personality of the leader still influence the color of the decision. To understand Indonesian foreign policy under President Soekarno, I make 2 phases. The first phase, in 1956 until 1959. This is President Soekarno after Hatta resigned from his position as a vice president. And in this space or years, President Soekarno still as formally as a head of nation, not executive power. Because since, as I mentioned before, that since November 1945 until July 1959, Indonesia under parliamentary system, liberal democracy. So in this phase, in the first phase, President Soekarno really just head of a nation that he didn't have executive power. But how President Soekarno play a significant role in foreign policy. Now we will discuss it. And the second phase, in 1959 until 1965, when President Soekarno as a single power in Indonesia at that time. Why single power? Because there is no political party oppose him. If there is a political party try to attempt his political power, absolutely will dismiss or dissolved by the president. There are many cases that all of political party except a Communist Party and National Indonesian Party that established by the president, Socialist Party, Islamic Party, all dismissed by the president. So president hold all of the national power in 1959 after president decree on July until 1965. So we will discuss. Why this problem? Okay. Yeah, this is our discussion yesterday on the Bandung Spirit as the final agreement in the Asia African Conference, and it is influential for Asia and African countries. As we know, there is the impact of this conference. The ASEAN African Conference in Bandung was invigorated the spirit on and revived the moral of the Asia African heroes in fighting for their independence. So we know from history that during 1955 until 1965, there was recorded, we can read in the book, more than 30 countries in Asia, Africa won or get their independence. In the midst of the domination of the West Bloc and East Bloc, carrying the Bandung Spirit was born the third world power in 1961. It is like a new bloc, and under President Soekarno, non-alignment play as the third bloc. But originally, really, the spirit of the non-alignment is not the third bloc, but peaceful, peaceful cooperation with other bloc. But next will played by President Soekarno as power bloc. It was called, we know all this, a non-aligned movement. And 5 years after the birth of the non-aligned movement, directly or indirectly, the Bandung Conference, or in Indonesia KAA, Konferensi Asia Afrika, is also considered to have sparked the birth of continental group of Asia, Africa, and Latin America in 1966. 1960. And the aim of this alliance of Asia, Africa, and Latin America is not far from the values of Bandung Spirit, namely against the domination of colonialism, imperialism, toward the formation of new world order that is more humanist, just, and peaceful. It is very ideal. But now we discuss about the Soekarno. What I say will before that, Soekarno has their own vision. We can trace from the young Soekarno. We can trace in the Soekarno debate on preparation for Indonesian independence. Soekarno has their own spirit. Individually, Soekarno see that Asia Africa Conference, it is my revival. Asia Africa Conference internationally rocketed Soekarno's name onto the world political stage so as to attract the attention of superpower countries such as Soviet Union and USA. So you know that in 1956, 1957, Soekarno go abroad, yeah, almost every month. Why every month? Because remember, 1956 until 1959, Soekarno is not executive holder. So it is free for Soekarno to go abroad because domestically held by the prime minister. So almost, yeah, every month Soekarno go abroad. And just several months after Asia Africa Conference, Soekarno go to Soviet Union. Soekarno go to China. Soekarno go to Belgrade. Soekarno go to African countries, many countries. And firstly, Soekarno invited to Moscow by Khrushchev at the time. And very meaningful visit for Soekarno and also for Khrushchev, because after that there are many deals. If you go to Jakarta, you will see the Stadion Soekarno-Hatta. Soekarno-Hatta. You will see the Monas statue, Tugu Monas. It's very, at that time, that is monumental, but today may not enough phenomenal. Stadion Negara or Soekarno-Hatta Stadium in Jakarta, all built by Khrushchev aid. So if you see the history, Khrushchev also one of the person who directly dig the one of the pillar. So it is, yeah, just ceremonial, but it is monumental for us and also for Uni Soviet. What is the road to Sukarno's radical foreign policy in 1956 until 1965? Please remember about the international and domestic. Firstly, internationally, Sukarno name rocketed after Asia Africa. And internally, Sukarno has no executive power. So Sukarno has many time to go abroad. This is natural. The situation internally in Indonesia at the time, there are many demonstrations. Under the liberal democracy, yeah, it was unstable democratic system. And because it happened in the long time, next Sukarno will ended the system by the president decree in 1959. Every aspect of Indonesian policy under Sukarno speech should be run under the revolution term. So since Sukarno go abroad, Sukarno influenced the public. So the power of Soekarno is in front of the public, but not in front of the bureaucracy or not in front of the technical government. Why? Because in front of bureaucracy and technical government, it's under executive power. And Soekarno didn't have authority until 1959. Soekarno make a monumental speech on Nawaksara and so on and so on. It is all of the Soekarno ideology. Sosialisme Indonesia, menemukan kembali revolusi kita, all of revolution term. And Soekarno wanted Indonesian established under the revolution spirit and ideals. At the same time, when Soekarno go abroad, military force play a political game in Indonesia. As you know that after Asia Africa, Soekarno go to eastern countries, and military force see this, oh, Indonesia, if President Soekarno make a strong relation with Eastern Bloc, Indonesian foreign policy is not bebas aktif or not independent from the blocs. So it is break our principle in foreign policy, independent and active. It is our norm. Military position is, see this, it's not a good policy or a good thing. So several military person criticize president about this, and there is rather conflictual relation at that time. But military informally built their communication with U.S. embassy. You know, maybe CIA, maybe the other agent, but in Indonesia it is very popular that General Nasution, General Suharto, and Sarwo Edi, they have good relation with U.S. Army and U.S. Embassy at the time. In the other hand, a Communist Party fully support the president, and we create massive propagandas and agitation. And yeah, we know that Communist Party is supported by Khrushchev, supported by the China to make a bigger and bigger party if Indonesia want to carry out general election. And so internally, domestic politics, the position of Indonesian army and political party, especially Party Komunis, is not in good relation. And President Soekarno hold this balance of power in domestic politics. So Soekarno play a very rich political game. Soekarno as the the highest commander in army. Yeah, absolutely. He can order the general to do like this or not do something, to do or not do something. And to Communist Party, President Soekarno has a strong and very close relation. So, yeah, what President want is it is impossible for IDIT and the other Communist Party to disobey what President Soekarno want. So, President Soekarno in the center, in the right hand is military forces, in the left hand is Communist Party. Where's the position of Indonesian National Party, because President Soekarno is the founder of Indonesian National Party. Yeah, President is himself is the representative of PNI or Indonesian National Party. So balance of power in Indonesian politics at the time held by one person, President Soekarno. What about the vice president? There is no vice president in Indonesia since 1956, after Hatta resigned, until 1970s. 17 years Indonesia didn't have a vice president. So President Soekarno as a single player at the time and hold the balance of power in Indonesian political dynamic. It's a very central position. After presidential decree, after decree president in Indonesia, 1959, Soekarno also criticized the vice president decree on November 3, 1945. You remember that in November 3rd, 1945, Soekarno didn't want to sign about the establishment of political party. And because of this is the final decision from the National Committee to establish political parties to respond international pressure because of Dutch propaganda in international arena, especially in United Nations, that Indonesia want to build as an authoritarian and fascist country like Japan after 1945. So our first committee or council, yeah, before general election, but it is formally established as a consultative council, respond this to decide establishment of political party. And at that time, Soekarno reject to sign. And the decree signed by the vice president on November 1945. After president decree in 1959, President Soekarno criticized this policy. Soekarno see that the establishment of political party will weaken our political power, weaken our national unity because of the conflict. The conflict is very critical because not between the race, but between ideology. Remember that at that time there is Islamic political party, communist political party, socialist political party, and national political party, and yeah, liberal political party. So the conflict based on the ideology. Soekarno didn't want to see this, and Soekarno want to unite all of national power, all of Indonesian people to face new world or new Indonesia. So Indonesia, Soekarno reject this political decision to open or establish political party. In 1960, Soekarno disband, like what I said before, that Soekarno disband the political parties. Masumi as Islamic Party, Indonesian Socialist Party, and did not recognize, you can imagine, in general election 1955, in Indonesia, more than 150 political parties, because at that time There is a national party, local party, individual party, all open. The most liberal democracy happened in Indonesia in 1955. Yeah, very liberal. If you want to establish political party individually, please open. You want to establish local party, open. So open. There is no restriction on this. And so President Soekarno, after dismiss several political party, also not recognize majority of political party in Indonesia at that time, except the supporting political parties, Indonesian Nationalist Party, the Indonesian Communist Party, that supported fully to the president, Catholic Party, and there is the small party, just 2 or 3 others. So Sukarno want to back. This is the second phase in politics of Sukarno after hold all of the power. Sukarno want to back their young, his young political framework, that Indonesia under one political party or unitary party, only one party in Indonesia. Sukarno want to realize this ideal. Yeah, this is the other description, that under the guided democracy, or guided democracy means all political parties should be under the president control. Under the president control. No political party criticize the president. General Nasution, what I said before, the General Nasution had connection with the US Embassy and American relations, criticized that in guided democracy under President Sukarno, whatever exists in this era, what is not exists is democracy itself. So under guided democracy, everything happened. But the one thing not exists in the system is the democracy itself. No democracy in guided democracy. If you have a different opinion with the president, like the ulama, like the sastrawan, artis, so you know Hamka, Ajib Rasidi, Muhammad Yamin, statements person, but also historian and your artist also. There are many artists. There are many ulama arrested under the Sukarno, under guided democracy. At the time, Communist Party play political strategy, and in revolution theory, we call it as revolution from above. What is revolution from above? You can see the Barner paper. You can see the Bennett paper. That revolution from above is strategy to support Sukarno, or the leader, but at the same time keep away from the people and other political forces or parties. So Communist Party support the president, what is in Malaysia, mengelu-elukan presiden, to make the position of the president higher and higher, full respect, full facilities, full what? Full gelaran-gelaran, full, yeah, everything make someone will fly imagination. So the position of president at the time is very high, very respectful person. Um, but uh, President Soekarno only have a podium to speech, but there is no direct relation between Soekarno and the people of political party. Why? Because political party all dismissed. Okay, all political party dismissed by the president. Okay, this strategy we call it as revolution from above. Why Indonesian foreign policy would be radicalized? This is Soekarno reason. In Soekarno view, Indonesian, the establishment of Indonesian as a unitary state and to create justice and prosperous never be achieved until the enemies of the objective were overcome. So what I said before, that to develop Indonesia, in other words, to develop Indonesia, we need the spirit of revolution, the spirit of revolution. In this regard, Soekarno perceived that international imperialism, colonialism, and capitalism, or he stated as Nekolim, as the main enemies, and he declared the destruction of the third objective of Indonesian revolution. Soekarno saw a strategic international political position after the success of the Bandung Conference. This can be seen in the warm reception of his visit to the Soviet Union, USA, China, Yugoslavia, and other countries. So Soekarno see that, whoa, my position or Indonesian position elevate or rocketed in international arena. So Soekarno see this position as a chance, opportunity to increase Indonesian interest in international forum. So under President Soekarno reason why Indonesian foreign policy should be radicalized, because first, all of Indonesian development should be guided under spirit of revolution. And inside the spirit of revolution, Nekolim or imperialism, colonialism should be erased from the map of the world. That is why Soekarno see after the Bandung Conference, the position of Soekarno personally and Indonesia as a nation state get a strategic position because as one of the leader of the non-aligned country. This is under Soekarno reason. This is the several radical foreign policy done by President Soekarno. First, in 1961, after Soekarno go to the eastern countries in Soviet bloc, because of many criticism from military forces and also from Muhammad Natsir. Do you remember Muhammad Natsir as a prime minister, as the president of Masumi? But in 1961, Masumi dismissed, criticized the position of and the relation made by President Soekarno that it is too east. it is two Soviet bloc. So Sukarno want to create balancing to go to the West. Sukarno met the JFK, John F. Kennedy, and John F. Kennedy received Sukarno with good spirit, and there are many aid from the United States. One of the aid, or we call it as a gift for Sukarno, is one helicopter for a presidential carrier. In 17 August 1961, Indonesia declared to terminate its diplomatic relation with the Dutch and made military preparation to liberate West Papua. Yeah, West Papua. As the follow-up, several missions were sent to get weaponry aid, including to China, Soviet Union, and Yugoslavia. So you can imagine why after mid-JFK, Sukarno prepared to go to Papua or West Papua to prepare war. Although the JFK make a strong message to President Sukarno that never ever use military forces. This is the political game played by Sukarno to pressure the diplomatic negotiation between Indonesia and the Dutch and USA. So Indonesia prepared to war, but really still continue the negotiation in New York and Washington. So Indonesia prepared war to make a diplomatic pressure at the time. The liberation of the West Papua under the Dutch, the establishment of Kostrad or Prasi Mandala is the name of the operation. Indonesia sought to invade West Papua or Dutch New Guinea after negotiating with the Dutch in 1949, but failed at the time. And Papua was transferred to Indonesia with help the UN and USA diplomat bunker at that time on December 1962. Sukarno stated in June 1962 that West Papua must be independent and free to enter the territory of the Republic of Indonesia before the roster cruise on January 1st, 1962. So what's in Malay? Papua should back to Indonesia before ayam jantan berkokok, 1 January 1963. So this is semboyan from President Sukarno. The other radical foreign policy done by the president is in 1963 September, Indonesia broke its diplomatic relation with Malaysia, following the establishment of Federation of Malaya that included North Kalimantan, Sarawak, and Sabah. This your location today. President Sukarno declared confrontation policy with Malaysia at the time. The UN was actually viewed negatively by Sukarno because he was considered that the representative of the Western colonialists, so that the resulting policies also reflected the nature of neocolonialism, imperialism. The neutrality heralded by the UN was, for Sukarno view, I read in Sukarno perspective, were nonsense. So there is no neutrality in UN. This under Sukarno perception. You remember about the post-colonialist perspective of international relation theory, that really Sukarno based in this post-colonial perspective but after that, fly beyond. How to get the power. Soekarno then launched a confrontation under what was called Dwi Komando Rakyat or Dwikora. Dwi mean two. There are two command for the people. And the second command was very monumental. Help the revolutionary resistance of the people of Malaya, Singapore, Sarawak, Sabah, and Brunei to dissolve the Malaysian state. It was the very radical policy. And you should remember that at that time, in 1963, there is no political party exists except Communist Party and Indonesian National Party under Soekarno. So all of the foreign policy expressed by Soekarno really an echo or resonance from the supporting political parties. And also, all of revolutionary movement generally will be supported by Soekarno. Through a letter from the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Subandrio, Indonesia left the United Nations on January 1965, when Malaysia was appointed as a member of Security Council in UN. So at that time, President Soekarno perceived that it is very dangerous for us because Yuki will still exist surrounding us. And because Yuki had a strong relation with not only in the northern, but also in the southern area, like Australia and New Zealand. So Soekarno like what? Surrounded by a symbol of capitalism or colonialism. It is under Soekarno perception. And you know, after Soekarno fell down, all this perception will gone and replaced by the other relation, a new relation under President Suharto. Just in 1 year, all of this policy will change, and cooperation with Malaysia stronger and stronger under the President Soekarno until today. But this is the perception of President Soekarno. Soekarno envision of the world order is a battle of old devos and nevos. And the later nevos will be a winner. What is old devo? Old devo means old forces, and nevo is new emerging forces. So the old versus the new. This is the term from Soekarno. And Soekarno initiated to establish a conference of the new emerging forces, CONEFO. Because Soekarno out from United Nations, to replace the position of United Nations, Soekarno initiated to establish the CONEFO, Conference of New Emerging Forces. Yeah, Soekarno imagined that Asia, Africa, and Latin America will join together. But it is not easy to realize this. In May 1st, 1965, Soekarno declared this establishment of CONEFO, but in September, Soekarno fell down. So under the communist rebellion. So what I said before, that Soekarno gone beyond the post-colonialists, because Soekarno want to struggle for power in realist perspective. Um, he want to play the block. Non-aligned movement as a new block, and Sukarno will continue this power, not only stop in or end in non-aligned movement, but Sukarno would establish a new thing. Sukarno imagined that United Nations is not effective to represent all of the people or society around the world. So he want to replace the position of the United Nations with CONEFO, a conference on the new emerging forces. Yeah, from the perspective of post-colonialist, but Sukarno flew beyond or more than post-colonialist perspective. Sukarno in the non-aligned movement conference in Cairo in 1964 declared about the confrontation strategy. Sukarno at the second conference of non-aligned movement, October 6, 1964, Sukarno firmly rejected the view of Joseph Broz Tito, the leader of Yugoslavia and one of the originators of the non-aligned movement, who wanted to take moderate step in facing between the bloc, Western Bloc and East Bloc, by trying the politic of peaceful coexistence. So Broz Tito more moderate. You want to play safe and peaceful coexistence, peaceful relation among the bloc. But what happened with Sukarno? According to Sukarno, such a passive attitude would actually make the non-aligned countries, which were politically and economically weak, become bickering, so more worse than today. So Sukarno submitted a proposal to a new strategy for non-aligned movement. What is the strategy? Sukarno stated that our strategy is confrontation to the bloc. So this is what I say, more than post-colonialist perspective. Broz Tito is okay, but Sukarno more than this. More than post-colonialist perspective. Sukarno declared the strategy confrontation to the bloc. But what is the meaning of this? It's mean that Sukarno really at that time under the Eastern political spectrum bloc. You remember that in 1960 until 1965, Sukarno go to the Pyongyang to create a good relation. So what Sukarno say, confrontation is not between non-aligned movement to West Bloc and Eastern Bloc. No. Really in politics, Sukarno has a strong relation to the Eastern Bloc. So the interpretation of confrontation strategy by Sukarno is to confront the West Bloc, because at the same time Sukarno has a strong relation with Eastern Bloc. So it is not post-colonialist perspective. Although Sukarno proposal could not be conclusion on the conference, but Sukarno had his way of doing it. So Sukarno still has a spirit to make a confrontation. This is the axis what I want to say, that Sukarno make his way at the time. Sukarno declared about the new axis. So this is the same year in Cairo 1964. This is the axis between Jakarta, Beijing, Pyongyang, and Moscow in 1964. Yeah, this is the schedule in 1960. From 1956, Sukarno go to Moscow, and 5 years later, Khrushchev and Voroshilov come to Jakarta, and it is very long visit because Khrushchev and Voroshilov come to Jakarta more than 2 weeks. In 1961, in 1961. On September 1957, Sukarno go to China, meet the Mao, and go to Pyongyang in 1965. So what the axis between Jakarta, Beijing, Pyongyang, Moscow had been built by Sukarno to realize what he said as a new strategy. The strategy is confrontation. Can you imagine that? Confrontation with access to the Eastern Bloc. So it is not natural. Indonesian relation with the United States deteriorated after the JFK was assassinated. On November 1963 in Dallas, and the successor, President Lyndon B. Johnson, changed his policy toward Indonesia, which he considered too close to the Eastern Bloc. So Lyndon Johnson is very different from JFK. JFK still, at that time in 1960s, JFK still see that, okay, no problem, we make a good relation. But under Lyndon B. Johnson, Sukarno is not a good person. Sukarno is too close to the Eastern Bloc, and it really Sukarno make exist between Jakarta, Beijing, Pyongyang, and Moscow. So what Lyndon Johnson see is really based on the fact. And before revolution, communist in 1965, this is the perception of United States. Sukarno in the eyes of the United States in 1965. USA, many literature you can, or many paper, many journal I will send you. USA saw that Sukarno as a friend of US enemies. Okay, Sukarno, you not directly fight to the United States, but you are a friend of US enemies, like Soviet Union, China, North Korea, and Cuba at the time. And Sukarno was in conflict with America's friend, a friend of enemies, and conflict with American friend. Hostile the British at North Kalimantan, still conflict with the Dutch in West Papua, and led non-aligned movement with the spirit of confrontation with US allies. Confrontation means confrontation to US allies, because there is axis between Jakarta, Beijing, and Pyongyang, as I said before. USA saw that internally there were many army generals criticize or fight to the president. They made communication with USA embassy. What the meaning of embassy? Maybe CIA. And it is amazingly under President Trump administration, and in 2019, USA released a classified document that of 35 years old under American regulation. It is open, all of the secret document legally, including among 3,700 previously classified file related to the assassination of the President John F. Kennedy in 1963, from the testimony of Richard Bissell, former deputy director of CIA planning, to the Church Commission in front of the House, the CIA had planned to assassinate the President Sukarno. And we know in the story, since 1961 until 1965, President Sukarno experienced 7 assassination attempt at home country. So many times, 7 times. So what happened in international arena, what happened in domestic politics, there are many political forces try to replace President Sukarno. You can imagine Indonesia is very diverse politically, ideologically, but the existing political party supported President Sukarno just 2, National Party and Communist Party. And the result of general election in 1955, Communist Party is not the strongest party, but number 5. So not as strong as Masumi, but Masumi dismissed. So there is Islamic power in the society. Try to replace the president at the time, or criticize the president, represented by Muhammad Nasir and part of the military forces, because there is military faction that disagree with president policy to create a strong relation with the Eastern Bloc. So after this situation, internally, domestic politics, and internationally, and international arena, what happened in the communist rebellion in 1965, many scholars have their own reason and explanation about what really happened at that time. But what happened in the history is on the night of September 30, 1965, 6 leading general and 1 lieutenant were assassinated in an attempt coup by a Communist Party. General Nasution, this is pro-American policy, escaped the assassination, and Major General Suharto was not targeted. It is amazingly, why President Major General Suharto not targeted? Yeah, this is very long discussion. Okay, many reasons and many scenario. The reaction with massacre of 500,000 communists and Chinese, a combination of military action and Muslim mass. So it is very bloody, because after the September Revolution 1965, almost 1 year after this revolution, the kind of massacre in the society to kill all of the communist activists and also Chinese, because suspected support the communist activists in the society, very massive. President Gus Dur stated that more than President Gus Dur, I take from the President Gus Dur, more than 650,000 victims 1 year after the revolution. Sukarno had no advanced knowledge of this scope, but his power were curbed. The Super Semar mean surat perintah 11 Maret. So this is decree marked the end of the Sukarno's effective power. Yeah, this is the controversial history because this letter order Major General Suharto to take all risks to save the country, and stated also that all of the power effectively changed from the Sukarno to the General Suharto at that time. So it is very controversial. Some scholars saw this revolution was designed by CIA, but this is more discussion also. And President Sukarno removed from the presidential position formally in 1967. And there is a tragic story on how President Sukarno died at that time. Okay, student, this is my presentation rather fast because I hope we can finish the slide until the end. Okay, the time is up and I hope you can respond our presentation in our group, and also you can make a question directly to my WhatsApp. And next meeting we will discuss some topic. So from next week we will meet 4 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I hope in Monday and Tuesday, 2 days, you can make your opinion or your perception or your understanding or your criticism to our discussion, our topic from the beginning. And I hope you can prepare yeah, short paper maybe 4 or 5 pages. You firstly you can summarize our topic from the beginning, and yeah, in short sentence, and you can write your opinion or criticism or something in 2 pages. So your summary 3 pages, and your opinion, criticism, or something we will discuss 2 pages. And I hope you make your presentation on Monday and Tuesday next week. I will make clear this task and your submission in our group in WhatsApp. Okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank